Everton got there, but they made heavy weather of it, didn't they? Took them a while.
Yeah, I mean, against
Hull did well. What about Honeyman? Brilliant.
Spirited performance from Hull, which you expect. Fans up for it. FA Cup. You can't go out. You can't go to these places and walk over them. It's not going to happen.
Right.
No.
Look, the thing for Everton at the minute, it didn't. Their performance wasn't bad. It was all right. A little bit patchy, but there was some good performances. I think Damari Gray and Gordon, two of the standouts. It's all about result.
Yeah, and they got the result.
If they get to the FA Cup final or semi-final and they have a day out at Wembley, or they get somewhere close and they have a good run in it, they won't be remembering hairy, scary moments at Hull in the third round. You get the job done. You get over the line.
Well, that's exactly, Danny, you've put me exactly where I want to be, because, Simon, that's exactly what I want to ask. I mean, the FA Cup could it be a last chance for Benitez to kind of salvage some kind of a relationship with the Everton fans? I mean, if they go all the way and win this thing, who have they got next? Brentford at home.
Yeah.
If they take care of Brentford, they go deep, and then a lot further than many people might have thought, and get themselves to final, win it. Then Rafa, you're talking about him ironically writing himself into club folklore.
Well, it depends how their corresponding form in the Premier League manifests itself. So you can go on, if they get dragged into the bottom 4 or bottom 5 of the division, they're already in the bottom 6, and they're fighting against relegation, yet they're having a good cup run. That's not going to save Rafa Benitez. I mean, you look at the supporters on Saturday were at the ground, and there was a big, well, not big, but there was a bunch of them that were very much anti-Rafa Benitez and were making their opinions very well known. I mean, the performance is irrelevant. The game, he had to win the game. They won the game, and that's the basis of the Rafa Benitez opportunity that was there to win that game. Now, going into the FA Cup deep, I think people have made their minds up at Everton about Rafa Benitez. They made their mind up before he came, and they were waiting for the opportunity to have some failure so that it could compound their already pretty hard and fast views on him. And they've got it. Some of it's justified and some of it's not.
Yeah, but hang on. If he can find a way of delivering this trophy...
If he wins the FA Cup, oh yeah, but that's a different discussion entirely. But
last trophy they won was this one in 95.
Well, I said a few weeks ago, I don't think that squad and the squad he's got is capable of doing well enough to elevate him to a point where the fans accept him. And that includes winning the FA Cup.
That's a good point.
That includes winning the FA
But he
Cup.
won't win the FA Cup.
As in, they're not good enough to win it.
They wouldn't have him.
They won't win the FA Cup with that squad.
Sorry, let me repeat. That squad, I don't think is capable of winning the FA Cup unless they get really lucky draw and all the big teams go out. But they won't win it.
Right.
And I also don't think they can play well enough in the Premier League and elevate themselves into a position in the Premier League
where he becomes unassailable. Yeah.
Where he becomes popular enough for him to ride through this storm. So therefore, he's on a hide into nothing. And it's
so they've made up their minds, and no matter what, he's not going to be accepted.
Correct.
But I mean, that's hideous in itself.
But that's football.
But if it had gone totally the other way, they would have had to accept
what is
him.
Totally the other way?
Win.
But
It's not going to happen.
So they haven't. And the bottom line is football survives on emotion. It survives on people. If there wasn't this emotional investment in football, then there wouldn't be the revenue that's in football.
I know, but it's ridiculous, Simon, because the supporters decide, once of Liverpool, and he said what he said about Everton, we can never have him. Benitez doesn't give a damn about Liverpool. Mashiri has told us he's in love with the city and he wants to win with Everton. But and I take that at face value.
Benitez, in my view, couldn't give a damn about anybody but Benitez. And all this narrative, I've used that word about 55,000 times today, but all the backdrop to Newcastle saying he was there because he loved the city. Benitez is invested in one opportunity, which is fine, because if he delivers an outcome for you. But what you've seen is a decline in Everton over the period of time, and a lot of that has been because there's been injuries, but some of it has also been because they haven't been very good under his management. So with that in mind, if you've got a backdrop that you're a big boy, you know what you're coming into, you better make sure this team's a bit better than it is. And if the team isn't better than it is in terms of putting out... I mean, Danny's right that the team isn't good enough to get him past the obstacle. But when you put games like... I keep going back to it, the Watford game when they got destroyed by Watford in the second half, that builds up a backdrop of people saying, I told you I was right. He's not what we need. He is all the things we think he is. He's a Liverpool man by heart, and he's not good enough for us and whatever else.
Yeah.
I think that whether we like that or not, grown men screaming for other people to be fired, there's nothing normal or rational about football, is there?
No, there's not.
So you can't then say, let's be a bit fairer.
Do you know what? I don't have any sympathy really in the end. At the end of the day, he knew what he was going into, and Rafa, he's had success in his career. He's a multi-millionaire, and if he gets sacked at the end of the season or even sooner, he'll get paid off for what.
But Danny, my attitude is the Evertonians around the place, and Evertonians are great fans, I love them, but the ones who made their minds up before he set foot in the place, if they're still of the opinion, we're never going to win anything with them, we're going to go backwards with them all the time, don't go. Don't go.
No, that's
because you're spoiling it for other people.
No, you can't say that someone's
You're taking the enjoyment.
But they
out
are
of the
supporting the
entire
team, aren't
point
they?
of the exercise.
I think there has been occasions at Goodison this season when they've been struggling and the fans have got right behind them. Surprisingly so at
You
times.
can't only have the opinion you like in a room.
What's the point of unfurling that banner at Hull on Saturday night?
Right
Benitez out.
Whether we like it or we don't, people have different views. And the problem with society at this moment in time is if your view doesn't correspond with the person that you're talking to, then ultimately you're not entitled to that view. Whether it's constructive or not, football fans at times aren't constructive because it's an emotion-led business. It's not fact a lot of the time, it's sentiment. And sentiment drives things. And the benefit of that is there's enormous interest in it. So you can't just say, well, if you don't like it, stay at home and keep your mouth shut. That's not how it works. It works that people are allowed a different opinion, and it's incumbent upon Rafa Benitez to dissuade them of that view
I agree with that.
by either putting a team out that looks like it represents them or winning. One of the two.
What you mean is it isn't helpful.
You guys are saying even if he wins the FA Cup, he's
No,
still
we're not saying that.
We're saying he won't win the FA Cup with his squad. What Danny said is he's never going to get past this objection because he's never currently not got a group of players that are capable of helping him get past it. So they won't win the FA Cup with this group of players. So the conversation, the way you were framing it was, even if they win the FA Cup, and Danny was saying, well, they ain't going to win the FA Cup with this group of players.
But in answer, if you're hypothesising,
and they'll probably get beat by Brentford.
If they win it, if they did somehow, by hook or by crook, I think he would give himself some breathing space. Yes, is the answer.
Of course, but he won't win it with that group of players.
See, Andros Townsend, who did more than his fair share by getting them through that tie at the weekend, said in every game this season we've given ourselves work to do. We've gone behind in early games. But one thing this team has is character.
Oh, yeah.
When we cut out the silly mistakes early on in games, hopefully we can go on a run and pick up some points, which is exactly what Mashiri said. Mashiri won't hear of it. He stuck Benitez in there because he thinks Benitez can do a job. Benitez thinks he can do a job. And yet, this little army of doubters constantly pitch up and unfurl their banners.
It's not a little
army. It's not a little army.
It's a big one.
Because he managed Liverpool.
And the way he conducted himself during that time in terms of,
by winning things.
Well, by some of the things he said about Everton and his manner. And I think that's... Look... It is what it is, and Simon's point earlier about emotion and opinion, right or wrong, it's just the way football's been for years.